Call to order the President and Board of Trustees. Roll call, please.
Trustee Lamb.
Here.
Trustee O'Rourke. Trustee Peck.
Here.
Trustee Rassich. Trustee Wajowski.
Here.
Trustee Benucci.
Here.
Mayor Collins.
Here, if we could rise for the pledge.
Presidential comments.
I have a couple this evening. The first one is, with great reluctance, we accepted the resignation of Mr. Michael Garrigan. And I want to thank Mr. Garrigan for all his assistance for the last 15 years. And I know a lot of the board's going to miss him. He's acted as a professional and a pioneer of guiding the board for all these years. And I really appreciate it. I know you've opened my eyes over the years with your expertise, and I'm sure whatever endeavors that you try for is going to be accepted and welcomed. So I really appreciate your time, sir. And I have just a little token from the board, if you will. And this, welcome over there.
Thank you very much, Mr. Mayor. It's wonderful, thank you.
Here, let me just do this. This reads, in recognition of and appreciation for outstanding years of service and dedication to the Village of Plainfield, Michael Garrigan, 2000 to 2015. Did you have something to say, Mike?
Yes, I'd like to take this opportunity to thank Mayor Collins for his wonderful support over all these years. I'd like to thank this village board, and also I'd like to acknowledge past village boards, past village presidents. And I've had the tremendous opportunity to work with great staff, wonderful staff which has supported me over the years. Terry Burkhardt, I'd like to specifically thank for his tremendous support. Mr. Burkhardt hired me back in 2000. Mr. Teston, Jim Teston, he couldn't find a better community development director. When I started in Plainfield, we were approximately 13,000 people. As I conclude this chapter in my career, we're approximately 42,000 people. It is my sincere hope that I have conducted my professional conduct here with competence and with full ethics, and more importantly, I think a passion. And more importantly, I'd like to conclude, I'd like to thank the residents of the Village of Plainfield for affording me the wonderful opportunity to pursue a profession which I have deep passion for and deep love for. I'd like to thank the residents for allowing me to be a public servant, and I hopefully have, again, performed all my professional duties in a noble fashion, and hopefully have left this community with a wonderful foundation for future generations. So thank you, Mr. President, and thank you for Village Board.
There you go. Thanks, Michael.
I know you like it. I'm watching.
I think I got discarded. Destroyed it. Thank you.
Okay. Mr. Collins?
Yes.
Michael, you know, we spoke in this past week after you turned in your resignation to the chagrin of an awful lot of individuals. You were describing a number of things, adjectives, and I think all the adjectives were used to describe I said you had your work ethic, your professionalism, your caring, your character, your intellect, your everything that we can think of that would be personal and perfect for an individual in your position, perfect in the position of just being a man in our society who really cares, or a woman. You have been a real benefit to the village of Plainfield, and you're oftentimes people say, well, the new broom can sweep clean. I think you're going to have an awful lot of difficulty in finding an individual who could meet your benchmark. You're an individual, a wonderful employee, a wonderful man to know, and I will truly miss your abilities here and your personality and your caring. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Well, it's hard to top Jim Rassich. No, but in all sincerity, Michael, thank you so much for everything, and especially your mentorship, because from the time when I first joined the Planning Commission to being here now, I've learned so much from you, and you're so patient, and you're so willing to get the whole bevy of information out there for all of us, and you're such a wonderful professional, and we talked as well, and we will miss you terribly. You really can reconsider this now, you know, you're not leaving to the 23rd, we have a little more time to work on you.
Thank you.
Thank you for everything, thank you for caring for Plainfield.
Michael, I just met you not too long ago, but I do appreciate all of the hard work and dedication you put into this village. I think many of the residents, I can speak for many of them, as well as their families, because it's made a big difference to my family, what you've done. Thank you again.
I go back quite a ways with Michael. In fact, before I was on the board, back in 2003, I think it was, I got appointed to the zoning rewrite along with you and the mayor and a few other people. We had spent 2 years redoing all those ordinances. And you were a tremendous resource for that. We did the comprehensive plan then, and we revised it again the last couple of years ago. And you were, again, a valuable resource for that. And I give you a lot of credit for my favorite, which is the single-family design standard. I think you did a fabulous job for that. I hope that gets mushroomed everywhere else you go. And I certainly wish you good luck in a new position, and enjoyed having you here.
Thank you very much. Same here.
Michael, it's been a great 6.5 years or so, even a little longer. I was on Planning Commission, and I have to say, you're a very talented individual. You have a very, very good ability to sometimes help newer elected officials. They're very passionate and going in one direction to understand the equal and opposite direction of sometimes of the different policies that they want to put in place, and say, you know what, that's a great idea, Trustee Peck. But, you know, this has happened before in this community, and then here was the equal and opposite reaction of that same idea. So you've definitely been a valuable asset, somebody that I can rely on to essentially go to from a professional staff member standpoint and say, what are your thoughts on this policy or that, as far as, let's just say it's a historical issue or a zoning issue or something that has to do with planning. And I really do appreciate all the assistance as well as your expertise and everything you've done around the community. And I wish you well wherever you go. You're definitely going to be a valuable asset to the new organization that you're joining. And definitely wish you luck, and please keep in touch.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Michael, it's been a pleasure working with you. You've been the consummate professional. You bring so much talent, to your position. You've got the legal background as a practicing attorney, your planning background, and most importantly, no matter what you did, you always put the interests of the village residents first, and you had the highest ethical standards, the highest competency, and it was great working with you, and I wish you nothing but the best.
Thank you, Jim. Thank you.
Okay, like I said, I have a couple things. I'd be seeking board consideration of a motion to approve a presidential appointment of Michael Lucas to the Historical Preservation Commission with a term to expire October 18th, 2018.
I make the motion to approve Michael Lucas to the Historical Preservation Commission.
Second?
I'm sorry. No, that's all right. I'm done.
Sorry. I
Dem-
seconded, sorry.
That motion was made and seconded. Trustee Lamb?
Yes.
Trustee Peck?
Yes.
Trustee Rassich?
Yes.
Trustee Wajowski?
Yes.
Trustee Benucci?
Yes.
Thank you. That motion carries.
Next thing I have, I'm sure a couple of you have read in the paper over the last week that after numerous meetings with CN, they've accepted our suggestion and move the hot box from Renwick down to Gaylord, and it should help us out with our train stoppage. I certainly hope so, but Renwick Road might still catch a little static, but it should help us out with our other 16 crossings. So I want to thank CN for the consideration of moving that box so that it would reduce the stoppages that we have. And like I said, thank you very much to them. The next thing is it's sort of a threefold thing. I had the pleasure of working with the Lions over the weekend, the Plainfield Lions, and helped a number of individuals along with Trustee Benucci in distributing $17,000 in gift cards to those of less fortunate, the Jewel gift cards. And I thought it was quite rewarding to go to a number of these homes and have these people say, well, now we can at least get something to eat for Christmas. So I want to really thank the Lions for that. Every year they've done this. We've done it for about the last 5 years, and it's very rewarding to us. So thank you to them. The next is the Chamber. I went to the Chamber meeting last week, and they used their Harvest 5K run, or Edward 5K run in the fall. They had their meeting the other day to donate donate checks to various organizations, including Pima and 2 food pantries. And they passed out, I think it was $17,000 also, or right near that area. So 2 food banks got $6,000 each. So I want to thank them because it just shows you the nature of Plainfield and these groups donating the food to these people. And then the last but not least, I just want to thank the village residents for donating toys to the Marine Toy Drive. We had a box downstairs and it was overflowing. So I really appreciate that, and I'm sure some children are really going to appreciate the toys they get at Christmas time. So thank you very much. And that's all I have.
Trustees' comments?
As the mayor mentioned, the hot box for Canadian National getting moved. In my opinion, that alleviated a huge safety concern that many people in the community had. There were several trustees as well as staff members that were tenacious in making polite telephone calls to those that would have discretion over moving that, including our congressman, Randy Holkren. Just want to thank those board members. You know who you are. Appreciate you, fulfilling your service and removing that safety concern out of the village, as well as we had, Chief Konopek was also very active as well, and I want to thank you as well for, dealing with the position we were in where we were, had the community on gridlock. I'm sure that was frustrating, and that, our department obviously has a job to do to keep our community safe and respond to calls in a timely manner. Thank you for overcoming that challenge, and hopefully this will not be an issue in Plainfield any longer.
Are there any other trustee comments?
Mr. Collins, if I could regress for a moment to your comments about the Plainfield Chamber of Commerce and the function last Wednesday. It's oftentimes there are a good number of us, of the individuals on this board and in this room right now, volunteered last September for that 5K, the Harvest 5K run. I remember it was a lot of fun. You get there real early. I remember seeing Miss Benucci there at probably at 5:30 in the morning. It's dark, and we don't know if it's going to rain, but yet it always turns out to be a wonderful day. And Mr. Collins, I'm not going to go through the litany of individuals who did attend and who worked at it. Oftentimes when we have a function like that, no one ever sees whatever becomes of the money. At the Chamber of Commerce luncheon that day, you got an opportunity to see where they distributed the money. And it went to not only, I'm not going to go through who it all went to, but it went to such worthwhile groups. And so when we help promote an activity like that, it really develops the entire community. Oftentimes people will say, why are you doing that? I think, you're blocking our streets or you're doing this and that. The long-term good far outweighs a couple hours of disappointment on a Saturday morning when you're trying to get to McDonald's to buy a hamburger or not, or something at I don't know, something somewhere perhaps. But it was a wonderful function, and you really have to give credit to the Plainfield Chamber of Commerce. Absolutely outstanding event.
Mayor Collins, one more thing, in the words of James Rassich. We also had the Pima Awards dinner and the Christmas party there, and I would like to congratulate Alex Bromberg once again for being the top Pima volunteer with the amount of hours. I believe it was close to 500, near 500 hours. You think of 500 hours of volunteer time. That means coming out for the call-outs. I think he came out for the most call-outs as well. And he's a very fine young man. He's 21 years old, and that's the kind of people that are involved. And so all of those wonderful people that were there that night, so we have to thank them, but also the leadership of Commander Conover, Chief Konopek, who was commander at the time when it was formed. So thank you very much.
I think Alex had over 500 hours the last 2 years. He's 564, I think, wasn't it, this year?
Somewhere right around there.
Yeah, it's amazing, really. He does extremely well.
Are there any other trustee comments? If not, this would be the time for public comments.
Good evening. My name is Mike Bortle. I'm the chairman of the Historic Preservation Commission. These are my colleagues, some of my colleagues, and former colleague of the HPC, Larry Ketchel, David Hagan, Ken Barvin. I've been living in Plainfield now since 2002. My wife and I came here. We built a house in Plainfield, and I was a retired high school teacher.
Thanks.
All right. So my wife wanted to know what was I going to do after I got here, because all the work that I had done as a teacher. And when we got here, my idea of preservation was a lot different then than it is today, as you might imagine. And I've learned a lot about Plainfield. I've learned a lot about its history. I've grown to love the architectural history and culture here. And I remember sitting in the room here listening to people, several trustees, none of you, but I remember them complaining about that old opera house building downtown. I wish they'd just tear the silly thing down. It looks ugly. It just looks terrible. And the same thing about that ugly maintenance barn down there from the old trolley barn. Ugly, ugly. Let's just tear it down and start over. So luckily, that didn't happen, because all you have to do today is walk down, look at the trolley barn. The new glass is in. It's been renovated. Bill Habiger has renovated the 1899 Opera House. The new addition is going up. It will be open in the spring. So we would like to honor Michael Garrigan tonight, because Michael Garrigan has been our resource staff person, the fourth one, but from 2009 to tonight. So if he will come up, we would like to make this presentation. Without your guidance, the following historic preservation accomplishments in the village of Plainfield would not have been possible. We have been able to create 5 residential properties that have become local landmarks. And I think what Michael thinks is one of his best accomplishments is the Downtown Historic District, which is also now a National Register of Historic Places, listed with the Secretary of Interior. It is one of only 15 communities in the state of Illinois that has a National Register listing for a downtown community. The Opera House and the Masonic Block. So this is for you. So when you're sitting in your office, way up north, you'll say, whoa, look at all this stuff we did. So congratulations.
Thank you, Michael. Thank you very much.
Thanks. Thanks for all your work.
Again, I'd like to thank Mr. Bortel and the Historic Preservation Commission. When I originally interviewed with Plainfield in October of 2000, as I walked through the downtown, I was absolutely amazed with the tremendous, wonderful, what I identified as tremendous bones. And what we've done with our downtown and our historic fabric is really quite amazing. it really is quite amazing. And as you, especially during this holiday season right now, our downtown looks absolutely fabulous. And I'd like to thank the HPC, I'd like to thank the village board, and all of course, the business owners in our downtown for transforming and really creating a wonderful renaissance in our downtown. And that's something I'm very inherently proud of. But thank you, the HPC.
If we could get rid of the old cars and have the carriages downtown and a little gentle snow, it would be outstanding, but we don't really need it, so I don't mind this. Happy holidays to everyone and Happy New Year. Thank you.
Are there any other public comments? Not, then we'll proceed with the business meeting. We're seeking a motion to approve the agenda.
So moved?
Motion's been made and seconded to approve the agenda. Trustee Lamb?
Yes.
Trustee Peck?
Yes.
Trustee Rassich? Trustee Wajowski?
Yes.
Trustee Benucci?
Yes.
Thank you. That motion carries. We're seeking a motion to approve the consent agenda to include minutes of the board meeting and executive session held on December 7th, bills paid and bills payable reports for December 21st, and cash and investments revenue and expenditure reports for November.
So moved?
Second.
Motion's been made and seconded to approve items A through C under the consent agenda. Trustee Lamb?
Yes.
Trustee Peck?
Yes.
Trustee Rassich? Trustee Wajowski?
Yes.
Trustee Benucci?
Yes.
Thank you. That motion carries. Next item on the agenda is CMNRUS Inc., Metronet Public Hearing. We're seeking a motion to open a public hearing regarding a non-exclusive franchise agreement to provide video services in the Village Plainfield.
I move we open the public hearing.
Second?
Motion's been made and seconded to open the public hearing. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Thank you. That motion carries.
Yes, thank you. This matter comes before you this evening on a proposed request from S.B. Freeman. You have in your packet a proposed request for a change order. I've identified as pursuant to the requirement. Sorry.
We're on the MetroNet, I think.
3A.
Yeah, it's all right. Tracy and I, or Jim can step in too as well. We've all reviewed the information provided by MetroNet. There are some standards related to a franchise agreement. They follow those standards. This is non-exclusive type of franchise agreement where it doesn't exclude other providers from coming in at a future date and providing additional services. And it also maintains our existing franchise agreement, doesn't change our existing franchise agreements with our other service providers too as well. So the information is in the packet. It's been made available to the public and to the press as well. And this is a public hearing, so if the trustees or mayor would like to make any comments, or of course any of the members of the public that would like to make any comments too as well, they can do that as well.
And perhaps at this time, John Campbell, who's the Vice President General Counsel for MetroNet, can introduce himself, give a brief overview, and then I'll ask him about 4 criteria that are required in order to grant a franchise under Illinois law. And John's here with us tonight, so perhaps he can take it from here.
Happy holidays, everybody. As Jim said, I'm here to answer any questions any of you may have regarding MetroNet's application for a video franchise, or to answer questions about our company.
And perhaps we can just go into the criteria, and then the mayor and the board can ask any questions they may have. But under Illinois statute, these 4 factors, which basically determine that it's in the best interest of the village to grant such an additional franchise. And as Alan mentioned, it's a non-exclusive franchise, just like the existing one you have. So the first area and the first question is, what does the public need for an additional video franchise?
We believe the public will benefit in 2 ways by granting MetroNet's application for a video franchise. First, Metronet will be able to introduce robust competition into the marketplace. What that will mean for consumers is lower prices, better customer service, and more choice. Additionally, as part of this project, Metronet intends to deploy a world-class fiber optic infrastructure. Our fiber optic network has virtually unlimited capabilities to provide bandwidth to businesses and homes. Initially, we'll be deploying gigabit level internet services throughout Plainfield. But as the demand for bandwidth grows, we will increase the capacity of our network to always meet that demand. Because of the incredible capacity of our fiber optic network, cutting edge services like 3D video conferencing, telemedicine, distance learning, and fourth generation television will all become possible. In short, our fiber optic network over in time will enhance the quality of life in the village of Plainfield.
The second question is, do the existing rights of way have enough capacity to accommodate Metronet's proposed network?
Over the last several months, we've done extensive field engineering work using very experienced construction personnel. And as a result of that work, we've determined that there's more than enough capacity on the utility poles and in the public's rights of way to accommodate Metronet's proposed fiber optic network.
Thirdly, what is the potential for disruption to existing users of the rights of way as a result of Metronet's project?
Well, as part of this project, Metronet will follow all local ordinances, all state laws and federal laws as they relate to the use of the right-of-way. Additionally, including, I should say, all call before you dig regulations. Additionally, we'll be meeting regularly with the Public Works Department of the village to manage our construction in the public rights-of-way. We believe having these measures in place will minimize any disruption to the existing users of the public right-of-way.
And finally, the fourth criteria, what will be the long-term economic impact on the community of granting Metronet a video franchise?
Granting Metronet's video franchise application will have a positive long-term economic impact on Plainfield. As previously discussed, Metronet will be introducing additional competition into the marketplace. Additionally, we'll be building a future-proof fiber optic network that will be capable of delivering cutting-edge fiber and video services now and well into the future. Because of that, the village will have a tremendous economic development tool. To put this in some kind of context, only 20% of the residents of the United States have access to a fiber optic network like the one that Metronet tends to deploy here. The village, or I should say the city of Chattanooga had a similar fiber optic network. The city determined that 2,400 new jobs were created just by having that infrastructure in their community. Additionally, in a recent report in the Wall Street Journal, a recent article in the Wall Street Journal, it was reported that a home valued at $178,000 could expect an average increase of nearly $6,000 just by having fiber optic cable. We believe that over time, this type of fiber infrastructure will be must-have infrastructure for all communities, similar to water, electricity, and sewer.
Okay, thank you. Those are the four criteria that are required to be determined by a village prior to granting a franchise such as this.
This is a public hearing. Are there any public comments? If there are no public comments, we're seeking a motion to close the public hearing and return to the regular business meeting.
Move that we close the public hearing, turn to the regular meeting.
Second.
Motion's been made and seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Thank you. That motion carries. Are there any comments or questions by the board?
I have a couple of comments. One, Mr. Campbell, you wrote an outstanding letter that covered the competitive situation. Got a nice legal issues and the fact that our existing cable contracts don't really provide a lot of competition, almost prohibit it. And so coming in with this kind of thing, it allows competition to really show up. You don't have to cover everybody but you can provide competition to a large chunk of the playing field, if you will. So I'm looking forward to that, but a really nice letter that you prepared. In reading the agreement, I have a couple of quick questions. One is the site you picked is where Pima is, and I'll have to ask if we choose to close Pima down there, will that have any impact on this agreement? If we have to keep the property, I gather, or at least keep the water tower no matter what. Is that correct? Does anybody want to comment?
Well, we've looked at the plans and talked about the building. They will have a separate electrical feed as well as a electric meter. They'll have a separate generator for the station too as well. So they're really self-sufficient regardless of whether the Pima station or the Pima building is there or not. One of the things that they do need, and it's outlined in here, is that they need to install an antenna on top of our water tower at that location. And the antenna is relatively small compared to what you see. It's actually smaller than most of the cell phone antennas, definitely smaller than the microwave antenna that's used for Kencom. So hopefully that answers the question. I think the property and the water tower are probably the most critical pieces in this, and they can function as long as those two elements are there.
Well, we need to hold the property was the question I was raising. Because of the agreement, we need to, I'm thinking of the property we just moved over, or thinking of moving on Ridge Road, and we don't need that. Well, this one we're going to need because of the contract. We can't, even if Pima closes, we take the building down, we still have to keep that property, maybe convert it to a park and, as well as what they have.
That's correct, but my feeling is we would retain the property for the water tower. Its life expectancy is at least another 40, 50 years.
Yeah.
So we do have use for the property. I hope I answered.
Just want to make sure. Understood. And the other part that comes up is the compensation. We currently get 5% on Comcast and AT&T, and so the 5% we will get here is consistent with what we're getting there.
That's
and the
correct.
other thing the village gets is free interconnection between all of our buildings as part of the service. So I think it's a heck of a deal. I'm delighted to see it coming in the playing field. I think it has a lot of potential for us, and I'm pleased. I don't understand exactly why, but I'm pleased that you picked Plainfield for the first town in Illinois.
Thank you, I appreciate it.
I agree with Trustee Lamb's comments. I also want to emphasize how monumental this agreement is, especially the economic impact. Not only will this help us with our commercial, our businesses in town, as well as maybe some of our light industrial, but even residential. You know, when you look at a community and you introduce a new competitor, you're going to do a couple things here. You're going to decrease the cost of service and increase the quality of it. And even if every resident in the village doesn't immediately sign on to this service, it is going to force the current, I don't want to say monopoly, but I could, that already exists here providing these services to lower their price and increase their quality of service. So I welcome this agreement. It's skillfully crafted. I think it's mutually beneficial. There was another organization that did approach the village, I believe in 2007 or 8, and I don't believe they were given an audience of the board or even staff at that time. So I am happy that this has worked out and it's coming to fruition, and I do support this evening. Thank you.
And typically, the footprint around the water tower that he'll need for ground service will be fairly small usually. It's not a huge area anyway for like the electrical and that, from what because we work with the towers with the school districts and everything, and it's a small area.
So it's a
to
50
answer
by
your
75
question.
footprint.
Right. Compared to the whole lot size there. It's usually fenced in, so. It's a great plan. We welcome you.
You know, Mr. Campbell, I have a couple questions, and they're not necessarily in any line order, but I have one in particular. Assuming we approve the franchise, which it appears it possibly will occur, what would you consider the initiation for starting to install equipment, establishing and having your groundwork done, where possibly you would move into a particular neighborhood and use them as a pioneering example?
Well, we plan for a pretty extensive and quick deployment. Currently, we're projecting that we'll have a substantial portion of our fiber network completed and conceivably services offered in approximately 7 months from starting. you know, a lot of that's gonna depend on the weather. I would have told you that it would have been impossible to start construction in the winter months, but my goodness, when it's gonna be 60 on Christmas, anything's possible. So I think that probably from start to the initially deploying services will be about 4 months.
Okay. Assuming you will start with services in 4 months, or your initiation, at least you have a healthy head start. What is your plan for who would be the initial receivers? Are you going to start, for example, at Village Hall and build in concentric circles, or do you take neighborhoods? How do you do it? Because that question will be asked.
Well, and we fully want to embrace that process with the public to set the level of expectations throughout the neighborhoods. To tell you the truth, we're still developing that plan. A lot of that depends on where what we call the long-haul fiber networks are coming in to interconnect here with Plainfield. And so where we locate that equipment hut will determine where we start to build. I assume from what I know from our operations team that we'll start in the east and work our way west.
You stated specifically that the average household would receive a benefit of, hypothetically in value, $6,000 by establishing a fiber optic capability in the house. How do you determine that?
Well, that was reported in the Wall Street Journal. There was a study by the University of Colorado where they looked at a number of communities where fiber to the home networks had been deployed, and using whatever metrics they established, they were able to determine that there was an increase in value.
And perhaps one last question, difficult for me to do that, but comparative pricing and being competitive. We all, as Trustee Peck stated, we have somewhat of a monopoly currently in the village of Plainfield, and for the most part in most metropolitan areas surrounding us. How do you become competitive with who exists already?
Well, you know, being the second guy into the market, we've got to win every single customer. And because of that, we're either going to have to be lower than the incumbent or at the same level as the incumbent, but offering better and more robust service packages. So we will benchmark ourselves to some degree against the incumbent. Our pricing model is slightly different than probably what you've seen before. On our video services, I think everybody's experienced, incredible increases in their video prices as a result of cable content providers. And so we've gone to a model where we make zero margin on our video services. Whatever we have to pay for that content, we pass on to the customer with no markup. And as another part of that pricing proposal, we're going to lock our internet and our phone prices for at least 2 years. And so hopefully with that mixed together, we'll be more than competitive price-wise.
One last question. You have established yourself in other communities. You said Chattanooga as one?
Chattanooga's built a separate fiber optic network.
I thought.
We've been in business for 10 years, and we've built out 23 communities to date.
Okay. Have you had any failures?
No.
No failures. If you had a failure, for example, in Plainfield, what do you do with the infrastructure that's already perhaps in the ground, in the air, or wherever? You just remove it all, or you allow it to stay there?
Well, my guess is that our obligation will be to remove it if that's what the village wants. But considering the tremendous value of that fiber, my guess is somebody's going to want it,
Okay.
including maybe even the village. But hopefully we won't cross that bridge.
Well, it's a question to ask, that's all.
Sure.
Well, thank you for your answers.
Is
Thank you.
this the largest undertaking your company has performed? Is this the largest city or no?
No. The largest undertaking to date is we built out West Lafayette and Lafayette, the home of Purdue University.
And they've had no significant interruptions or problems?
No.
Very good.
Are there any other comments or questions? If not, we're seeking a motion to adopt ordinance number 3248, approving a non-exclusive franchise agreement with CMNRUS, Inc., pursuant to Section 4-242 of the Plainfield Cable Television Franchise Ordinance.
So moved.
Second.
Motion's been made and seconded. Trustee Lamb?
Yes.
Trustee Peck?
Yes.
Trustee Rassich?
Yes.
Trustee Wajowski?
Yes.
Trustee Benucci?
Yes.
Thank you. That motion carries. We're seeking a motion to approve a tower and lease, or Tower and Ground License Agreement with CMNRUS Inc. to install equipment and related structures.
Second?
Motion's been made and seconded. Trustee Lamb?
Yes.
Trustee Peck?
Yes.
Trustee Rassich? Trustee Wajowski?
Yes.
Trustee Panucci?
Yes.
Thank you. That motion carries.
Guys, we're extremely, on behalf of our senior management team, we're extremely excited to come to the Village of Plainfield, and we look forward to a long partnership with the village. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Next item on the agenda is Route 30 TIF change order.
Thank you. I'm so excited to talk about this. I wanted to jump in. Maybe I should.
Is this your last night?
I'm very excited about this matter here. So,
You may get that plaque maybe taken back.
maybe I keep talking. You
You
guys
better change your attitude.
So this matter comes before you this evening on a requested change order from SB Freeman. As you recall, a number of months ago, the village board did approve a contract with SB Freeman to complete a study for the eligibility of the proposed TIF corridor. Based on that fact, there unfortunately has been a number of delays. I've highlighted in my staff report. Unfortunately, we've been working with the boulevard on trying to get a couple of simple tasks completed. There are 2 buildings that have to be demolished in accordance with state statute for any TIF. Any property which has been under cultivation for 5 years prior to the proposed TIF cannot have any standing structures. As we speak, there are 2 existing standing structures on a boulevard, and therefore that property does not qualify for a TIF until those buildings are demolished. We had a meeting with the owner of that property on Friday morning. They have made a commitment. They actually have made arrangements with deconstruction to proceed with demolition. The owner of that property would like to, believe it or not, salvage some of the historic barn wood, and therefore that's one of the delays. But we do believe that there will be demolition of those buildings, hopefully in the first part of January, based on our discussions with the owner. In addition, another requirement for eligibility for a TIF is the property, the boulevard site has to be subdivided into a minimum of 3 lots. That's in accordance with state statute. Based on that fact, the applicant will be proceeding with a plat of subdivision for the boulevard site in the near future. They're currently working with Jacob and Hefner. The third loose end for the proposed TIF is we continue to work with Standard Bank. As you recall, the village board several months ago did approve a annexation agreement for the drum farm, which is just immediately to the south of the boulevard site, which also provides contiguity to the boulevard site. That property, the annexation agreement was forwarded. Unfortunately, the applicant has not executed the 3 clean copies which were forwarded to them. We've had discussions with the president of the bank. They are currently working with that and reviewing that and waiting for comments from their legal counsel before those agreements are executed. So, the sum and substance, we do expect both the boulevard loose ends and the drum farm to be tied up sometime potentially in January. Based on this delay, SB Freeman has identified an additional $9,000. They have to do an additional eligibility standard analysis of the proposed TIF to make sure it still complies with the TIF requirements, and therefore there's a letter in your packet this evening where they've identified specifically the additional $9,000 change order. So we are seeking a motion this evening for a change order of approximately $9,000 to the original agreement with SB Freeman. With that, I'll be more than happy to answer any questions that the board may have.
One thing, Michael, I think I was advised that all the lumber from that one building has been removed. I believe it has. I'm not positive, but I'm pretty sure it has.
It will take very little time to actually proceed with demolition.
Right.
I mean,
Well, I move that we approve a $9,000 change order to SB Friedman agreement to complete the work on the TIF district.
Second.
That motion's been made and seconded. Trustee Lamb?
Yes.
Trustee Peck?
Yes.
Trustee Rassich? Yes. Trustee Wajowski?
Yes.
Trustee Panucci?
Yes.
Thank you. That motion carries. Administrators report.
No report tonight.
Management services report.
No report tonight.
Engineers report.
Report.
Planning department report.
no report.
Building department report.
No report.
Public Works
Public
report.
Works, I have three just very quick items, or more housekeeping items than anything else. The state has requested that the board adopt a resolution. We've done this traditionally for the past 15, 20 years. It's been quite a while. It covers a 2-year period, and in essence, what it states is that we will, which is compliance with state statute, that if we were to repair a water main or a sewer line that's within the state right-of-way, that we would seek out the necessary permits. We can get emergency permits and have in the past, that we will follow the instructions of the permit. We will require our contractor and or the village, when we do repairs, to retain the necessary insurance, and that their work will be completed in compliance with the permit. So that's in essence it related to the resolution. It's consistent with state statute and consistent with past village policy. So I'd be happy to answer any questions about that, but staff is recommending approval.
I wonder if you'd change the word request to mandatory. Don't we have to do this?
For the
If we
most
don't
part,
do this, we're in trouble.
State law already covers it. The permit already talks about these things. When we sign off on each one of the permits, it's just another layer. But
We had no, let's do it. We had no choice, really.
it's a request, and
Yeah,
we
it's very,
do our best to comply with the requests of the state on a timely basis. I think that was politically correct.
nicely job. Nice job. Well, I move that we approve the maintenance resolution with IDOT right away.
Motion's been made and seconded to adopt Resolution 1722. Trustee Lamb?
Yes.
Trustee Peck?
Yes.
Trustee Rassich? Trustee Wajowski?
Yes.
Trustee Benucci?
Yes.
Thank you. That motion carries.
The second item that I have is approximately a month ago, we had a water main break on a Sunday that needed to be repaired quickly. It's along Route 30 south of Renwick Road. The water department discovered the main. Since it was 9 feet deep, deeper than our equipment can typically excavate, we did call on Beige Construction, so it was a combination of Beige Construction's forces and the village forces to get the main repaired. The main, of course, has been repaired, but the amount did exceed the $5,000 limit that the village administrator can authorize. So we just bring it back to the board's attention and approval for payment to Beige Excavating in the amount of $6,188.
I move we
We
approve.
approve payment to Beige Excavating the amount of $6,188 for the emergency repair of a Route 30 water main.
Second.
That motion's been made and seconded. Trustee Lamb?
Yes.
Trustee Peck?
Yes.
Trustee Rassich? Trustee Wajowski?
Yes.
Trustee Benucci?
Yes.
Thank you.
And the last item that I have, this is as per our budget discussion about a year ago or so, talking about streetlights, LED streetlights. The village has replaced a little over 500 LED streetlights that are out in the system. I think the point was brought up, or discussion was brought up, we do have approximately 5,000 streetlights out there, so we still have a ways to go. But fortunately, the price of street lighting continues to come down. The quality is there. It continues to get better. The color quality is better. The lights that are proposed here are some of the best. And actually, when we started the program, the lighting, LED street lighting, was running right around $700 to $800 a unit. Now we're in the 300, and actually the lowest proposal is $327 each. So we're very pleased with the price. If this were to be approved, we would install new LED street lighting in the Eagle Chase, Harvest Glen, Wilding Point, and Winding Creek subdivisions, and we would use our own internal forces for the labor, so there would be no additional cost for labor. So with that, we are recommending that the board approve EMS Sales, the individuals providing the lowest proposal, for 153 LED street lights at $50,031. I'll be happy to answer any questions.
These are energy efficient and they save the taxpayer power costs as well, right?
Yeah, significant. About 40% of the energy that's currently out there as far as cost is concerned, and the light quality is better.
Alan, do we have a tracking system as far as hours of usage, so that way we can force the hand of this vendor to make good on any warranties as far as the LEDs go?
You know, warranty is typically a year, and we have been installing LED streetlights for about the past 5 years. Typical standard streetlight will last 2 years, maybe 3 if you're lucky. These should last approximately 10 years unless they get struck by lightning or something else occurs. We're finding very good performance. The ones that we've installed 5 years ago are still in operations, and we haven't had any problems with them whatsoever. Aside from a few lightning strikes. You can't, that lightning will take out just about anything like that, so.
Right, right. Okay, so if I understand you correctly, the warranty is not based on hours of usage, it's simply 12 months on these units.
Yeah, that's very good.
Well, then there's no need to keep track of hours of usage then. Excellent, thank you.
I just have, go ahead, Margie.
No, no, go ahead.
No, I just have one minor question. Consideration for waiving the bidding, but I see 3 actual appraisals here, so why would we waive if we have 3 and we've decided on the lowest?
Yeah, this process, and this is what we've done in the past too as well. We didn't have a quote-unquote formal bid, just based on the fact that the technology changes so quickly that the sets of lights here, and actually we used to buy spare parts, and we don't buy spare parts for lights anymore. It's almost like computers. If you go to Best Buy and you buy a computer, and you go back there 3 months later, I doubt if you'll find the same computer, because the new generation will come out. And it's the same thing in bidding. When we bid and we specify a specific light, the vendors may not be able to find that light because it may not be available. So we get quotes within a very short period of time, bring it to the board. Technically, since it's not a quote-unquote bid, then technically we should waive
This
the
is
bidding.
semantic, more or less.
It is, but believe me, this is the most cost-efficient way to acquire these streetlights.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, and technically under state statute, it's not a public improvement. We wouldn't be violating state law if we didn't, waive the bidding process. But it's good insurance, as Alan mentioned, but it's not a public improvement even. But I think he showed you the kind of diligence, that he's applied to this, but that's
Okay.
sort of the background.
Okay.
We're erring on the side of caution on this one.
Alan, for those who are listening, how many LED did you buy last year compared to this year? Is this an increase in the amount of streetlights that we're going to see this year versus last year?
Yes. We purchased 100 streetlights last year and had those installed. And really, again, the number in the budget hasn't changed, but the lights have gotten cheaper. So we're able to purchase 150 streetlights this year.
Okay, thank you.
Point of clarification to go off what Mayor Collins had mentioned. What I'm looking at, Alan, is that maybe I'm not looking at it carefully or careful enough. The part numbers for all 3 quotes are the same, correct?
Yes.
So the difference in the process that we took on this project now without putting it to formal bid versus putting it to formal bid, as far as I know, that would essentially encompass putting an ad in the newspaper for X amount of weeks and then waiting for sealed responses to come versus making a phone call and getting an email and getting quotes, right?
That's correct.
So I guess I hate to be difficult right before Christmas here, but if we have the part number we know is going to be the best price and that's what we're comfortable with, how come we didn't just go ahead and do a formal bid and say, okay, we're asking for this part number, this quantity, delivered by this date, on these terms, with this warranty, X, Y, Z, versus waiving the bidding process?
The difficulty is that we believe, first of all, this is the best product on the market. As you had stated, we did bid one specific type of product, and that the product is currently available today. And that even in the bidding process of waiting 6 weeks or 2 months or whatnot, this product may not be available. So we come back to or as equal, and typically the price will change. And then we have to determine if that product is equal to this type of product. So, we could bid this type of work in the future, but our experience has been that when we bid it, that the product's either not available and we're at the next generation and it's either more cost or less cost, and then we have to bring it back to the board and explain that. Or we just don't get the full order for the product. We may only, if we wait too long, we may only end up with 50 lights or 75 lights. Then we purchase what we can and report that back to the board later. So if we'll definitely look at changing procedure in the future to see if that can be done. But just based on the amount of turnaround time, the quick amount of turnaround time based on this, we believe this is the most efficient way to take care of it.
Thank you.
Sure.
I move that we approve the purchase of 153 LED light fixtures MERM sales per the attached quote, cost not to exceed $50,031.
Second.
Motion's been made and seconded. Trustee Lamb?
Yes.
Trustee Peck?
Yes.
Trustee Rassich? Trustee Wajowski?
Yes.
Trustee Benucci?
Yes.
Thank you. That motion carries.
Thank you. That's all I have.
Police Chief's report.
The only item I have is the operations report from the police department for November. If anyone has any questions, I'd be happy to answer them. Thank you.
Attorney's report.
Thank you. Just briefly, as the board and the mayor are aware, every year, at least twice a year, we have to review closed session minutes and determine if some may be released because they no longer need to be held in a confidential matter. I've reviewed the minutes, and my suggestion and recommendation would be that the minutes of April 13th, 2015 and April 20th of 2015 be releases. There's no longer a need for confidentiality, and that the remaining minutes remain confidential.
If the board agrees with the attorney's recommendation, to be seeking a motion to release the executive session minutes of April 13th, 2015 and April 20th, 2015, and to keep the remaining minutes confidential.
Make that motion.
Second.
Motion's been made and seconded.
One point of clarification before I move forward. The fourth to the last page. In discussing the Bocce property. Have we completely closed on that property? Is that a done deal? Do we have all our money? Is that transaction complete?
No, that's scheduled for January, so that's why I was suggesting that we
It's
not.
still confidential. These are not being released.
There's about a half a dozen of those, and I thought not to recommend release of those.
Okay, I would agree with that then. Thank you.
Hey, Mr. Collins, before we move on to the closure of the meeting, may I make a comment?
Of course.
Okay. You know what, Ms. Benucci, the police chief report was on the operation report, but I have something to comment about. I know it's the last meeting of the year for all of us, and Ms. Benucci, because of her humility, didn't say that much about PEMA, Plainfield Emergency Management Agencies. She's deeply involved through not only in her own efforts, but her husband's efforts, Roger Benucci and Chief Konopek, Commander Ruggles, et cetera, et cetera. There's a whole proliferation of individuals who are deeply committed to serving this community. You know, tonight we spoke about the PEMA, not the PEMA Awards, but the Plainfield Area Chamber of Commerce Awards. PEMA was there that morning when they had the race. PEMA's there when we have car nights. PEMA's there when we have homecoming parades. PEMA is always there, and they're, in my estimation, the most unsung heroes in the village of Plainfield. They're dedicated individuals who do not get a nickel for their work. They are there because they are a society of individuals, men and women, who really care. And you know, I attended the banquet the other night it was a holiday party and an award ceremony. Trustee Lamb was there, Ms. Benucci, Mr. Collins, and myself. You know, just being associated with those people. Not only are they friendly, but they care. And I just wanted to say, Commander Konopek, you and I know John Stratton's involved, and there's a whole group of people I cannot mention. But I just want to say thank you for your leadership. You do a marvelous job. And if you could possibly just transmit the thoughts that are delivered from this board to the group that you work with, it would be much appreciated, because I never would want them to think that they weren't appreciated. And believe me, they are. Okay, thank you.
I think we still need a vote on the motion about executive orders.
The motion was made and seconded to release the executive session minutes of April 13th, 2015 and April 20th, 2015, and to keep the remaining minutes confidential. Trustee Lamb?
Yes.
Trustee Peck?
Yes.
Trustee Rassich?
Yes.
Trustee Wajowski?
Yes.
Trustee Benucci?
Yes.
Thank you. That motion carries.
I want to second Jumping Jack Flash for bringing all that up.
If you move the meeting
But
faster.
going on with reminders, December 24th and 25th, the office will be closed. December 28th is committee to hold and canceled. January 1st, the office will be closed. January 4th is our next village board meeting. And January 5th will be our next planning commission meeting. And from the mayor, I wish everyone a very Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year.
Taking a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Motion's been made and seconded to adjourn. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Thank you. That motion carries.
Merry Christmas.
I'm against adjournment.